Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's jump right into it first with the so-so segments. They weren't bad, they weren't good, they were just there. First one I want to mention is Roman Reigns' pre-taped interview addressing his injury. I wanted to say energy for some reason. And the point of it is, maybe energy's on my mind because there was a lack of energy to it. The pre-tape portion was silly. It didn't really show any emotion, no passion, didn't give us any kind of update on a potential return date. Just a way to put him on TV just to put him on TV, and it really didn't even garner any interest from it. Oh, I thought it was just a little bit of a waste of time. Along with the next match we have, which is Paige and her new BFF, Alicia Fox, versus AJ Lee, and I guess she has Emma because Emma's the only person on tag team with her, is what they're saying. AJ leaves Emma stranded. Paige picks up the win for her team with the Rampage. I don't know, to me, they taken what was a good storyline, and these are actually four of the better divas on the roster. They've taken what was a good storyline and muddled it and made it boring, which seems to be what the WWE does best. Next up, we have Sheamus versus Miz. Overall, an okay match, just didn't really hold my interest at all. Miz picks up the win after some distractions from Damien Mizdow, as he's being even set on their roster page now. I don't know, just to me, it just didn't hit. It didn't pop off the screen and make me want to watch it. Next up, we have the bad portions of the night. Now, sorry about that, folks. One of the cringe-worthingly bad portions, and when I say cringe-worthy, there are certain things that embarrass you to be a wrestling fan. And a couple times that happened on Raw. First one was Adam Rose coming out with Kathy Lee and Hoda. First off, I kind of know who Kathy Lee is because I remember she was on a show with Regis and they used to have wrestlers on it all the time. When I was a kid, I used to watch to see the wrestlers on there. So I know who she is. No fucking clue who Hoda is. I'm sorry, I don't watch the Today Show. While the Today Show's on, I'm at work. I know some of the other people that have come from the show and have been better, but to me, I don't know. I think it's a different... Kathy Lee and Hoda, I would assume, play to a different audience than the audience watching Monday Night Raw, because if you're up watching primetime Monday Night Raw, unless you just don't have a job or you work from home or you don't go to school or whatever it may be, I don't think you're watching the Today Show. But anyway, it was cringeworthingly bad. It's just silly and stupid and everything that's bad with celebrity guest hosts and celebrity guests on wrestling. Not that I'm saying they're all bad, just when they're bad, this is what turns out, is the shit that we got from this. Next up, we had a Brie Bella with one arm tied behind her back versus Summer Rae. Layla tries to get involved. Summer eats a knee to the face. Brie wins, does the yes chant, which is cool, keeping her husband around. But just overall, it was a sloppy match. I don't think, and this isn't a knock on Brie, because she's not horrible in the ring. She's passable. She's out of the divas in the roster. She's kind of middle of the road. She could have good matches with people. I don't think she's a good enough performer to pull off one arm behind the back kind of gimmick. I think you would leave that to the better people, Alicia Fox, AJ Lee, Paige, Natalya, girls of that nature that can actually pull off said gimmick. But anyway, it just to me was silly, uneventful, and a little bit stupid. Next up, we have El Torito versus Mini Gator. Now, you heard me mention about the stuff that makes you embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. Here we are. This feud was silly 5 months ago when they were opening every pay-per-view with it. This feud is downright moronic, sophomoric. I don't even know the proper word to say about how stupid it is, and how silly, and how is there anybody that is watching this going, oh, this is why I love wrestling. Minigator versus El Torito. I mean, I don't even care who wins. It's just stupid. And it's no knock on, and I'm probably not going to say the politically correct term just because I don't know what the politically correct term is. Midget wrestling is fun. It could be fun. I've watched lots of fun midget wrestling in my life, and that's what they call it, so I know it's probably the wrong term. But I have. I mean, I think the one that they did the TV show, the Hulk Hogan's MCW, Midget Micro Championship Wrestling, I've watched some of their stuff and been entertained. There's been midgets that have been fun to watch over their history of wrestling. I mean, I think they can be fun and they could be interesting. Unfortunately, not so much here. Just my opinion. It just was gut-wrenchingly, heart-turningly bad. Now, move on to something on a more of a lighter note, our question of the week. Now, last week, I told you guys about a personal argument I was having with a friend, and I asked you guys for your opinions to help us out settle the argument. Whose theme song was better, Honky Tonk Man or Demolition? Now, we got some answers from our friends before we get into ours here. First is from Joseph Hatcher. I think Demolition has a better theme song. It suited their gimmick, and through DVDs and YouTube videos of their matches, I've heard their theme music, and one time it got stuck in my head. All I could say is, here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher. Yeah, everybody knows the song too. I could go on and on with it, and I almost did there. Next is from our Offspring gal, I'm guessing. If I'm saying it wrong, tell me how to pronounce it, please. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. I think the Honky Tonk Man's music is the best out of these two. However, the best theme song or theme music that the WWE has ever had is either Drew McIntyre, Broken Dreams, or The Miz, I Come to Play. Which of these two is your favorite? Can you answer that? It's easy. Drew McIntyre's by a mile. I thought Drew McIntyre's music was awesome. It was instantly identifiable. It fit the character perfectly. Too bad they gave up on him too quickly, because he had that whole conflux of everything that you would need. He's a good worker. He's a good talker. The music was spot on. I mean, there are certain people that their music hits and it's perfect for them. Randy Orton comes to my mind. Miz, I could take or leave Miz. I don't hate him. I don't love him. So probably just more, to me, Broken Dreams. It was so different, so original. The video that played with it and everything, I just thought was better. Next up, our friend Benjamin Me 19. Hey, Heel Heat, in terms of preference based on personal music genre preference, I can't choose between the two because I don't enjoy either of them. In terms of best for business, I feel that Honky Tonk Man is better. It fits the character better than Demolition's did for them. The question reminded me that Honky Tonk Man had a figure like a red wine glass, big gut but skinny legs. That's awesome. Sorry, I had laughed through that, guys, but that's just funny. Next is our friend Yellow Lion 3250. For me, it would be Demolition. Their music was like Austin, meaning when it played, you knew someone was going to get their ass kicked. The Honky Tonk Man music was good because he sung his lyrics. So we're back at step one. We got 2 for and 2 against. So I guess the deadlock won't actually end, but I'll tell you what my pick was. My pick was the Honky Tonk Man. To me, I thought the Honky Tonk Man has the perfect music to gimmick of anybody in wrestling history. Not my favorite song. If I were to say my favorite song that the wrestlers ever used, it'd probably be the Kill Switch Engage the Fire Burns that was originally for Orton that Punk used for a while. Like that song as a song. Cult of Personality is a great song. Like that as a song. Mark Henry's song is awesome. The Oddities theme song is awesome. As far as personally enjoyable songs, and I'll admit it, I'm not the only one out there. Rollin' by Limp Bizkit. I loved Limp Bizkit at the time. I know they're kind of a joke now and kind of looked at the way hair bands are. But you know, at that era everybody loved Limp Bizkit. They weren't one of the most popular bands in the world for nothing. I'm not the only one. I'm just probably one of the few that still is willing to admit it. But anywho, mine was Honky Tonk Man. Like I said, I think it fit the gimmick perfectly. Now the question of the week for next week, something I'm about to talk about in a little bit. We've seen a surprise appearance by The Rock on Monday Night Raw, which got my gears grinding, and it made me think, who would you like to see The Rock wrestle at WrestleMania 31? Or if you don't want to see him wrestle at all, if you think that bringing these guys back for matches on WrestleMania takes somebody's spot, whatever your reasoning may be, let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down in the comments. Now we're going to roll right into the good portion of the night, the stuff I actually liked on the show. I actually dug the opener a little bit with Rollins coming out with Noble and Mercury, the New Stooges. Then we had Cena coming out. You had Ambrose, Stephanie, Triple H. The whole thing set up the whole mood for the night, which I thought was cool. I usually don't like these. I think it's the Ambrose factor. Ambrose and Rollins are putting new, fresh takes into it and giving us something a little bit different, giving us a new face and a new voice out there. I don't know. So maybe I'm just getting soft in my old age, but I enjoyed it. Next thing I liked was Goldust, Stardust, and Cesaro versus the Uso brothers and Dolph Ziggler. The faces, Usos and Ziggler, take the win. I thought it was a cool match, a fun match for the show. I mentioned before I was getting tired of the Usos versus the Dust brothers. This added a little bit of fresh take to it. This gave a little bit different vibe, so it became fun again for me. And it's not that any of the four guys are bad wrestlers. They're all terrific. It's just got tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. But this gave a little different. Next up, we had Bo Dallas versus Mark Henry. Bo wins the match by countout, which I thought was absolutely great idea for him. I think this fits his character so perfectly. I think the fact that he can beat Mark Henry in this kind of way is going to help him go so far, because he's got the perfect old school, I'll take a win any kind of way I will kind of heel. The kind of heel back from the 80s that would go on TV and expound the virtues of beating Hulk Hogan by disqualification or beating Ricky Steamboat by countout. The same thing I think would happen with Bo Dallas. I think it's awesome. I think it fits his character perfectly. Next up, we have the interaction between Dean Ambrose and John Cena, where Ambrose decides he's going to walk away and go get some hot dogs and ride roller coasters. I thought it was great. I think that seeing Dean Ambrose interacting with a guy on the level of John Cena gets to show you how good Dean Ambrose really is. A lot of people like to harp and be critical about John Cena. He's at the top spot for a reason, folks. He garners attention. Dean Ambrose got in there, and a lot of people have got in the ring and interacted with John Cena and faltered and crumbled under the pressure. Dean Ambrose got in there and showed us why he's one of the next potential huge superstars in wrestling. Next up, for personal reasons, probably my favorite match of the night, Jack Swagger versus Tyson Kidd. I think Tyson Kidd is one of the really, truly underused talents in the WWE. I think he's a guy that could be, a credible Intercontinental Champion, a credible United States Champion, someone that can wrestle for the World Championship. If done properly, a World Champion. I think he's got that much talent. And he's rarely used, or he's pushed down to NXT, which, no knock to him, he's doing great stuff in NXT. He's awesome there. And he's awesome whenever he's given the opportunity in WWE. Fans love him. He's fun to watch. So, he had a good match with Jack Swagger. Swagger picks up the win. Although they're doing more of the Natalya Tyson Kidd split up thing, I'm not a fan of that part of it. Or tensions, not necessarily split up. But to me, I think it's awesome. Anytime we can get Tyson Kidd on TV is good for me. Personally. I'm a Tyson Kidd fan. I think he could do way more than they're letting him do. There's a lot of guys on the roster I feel that way about. Tyson's just one of them. Tyson's probably the top one now. Either Tyson or Kofi Kingston. They're both right there for me. I think both the guys are awesome and could have been marketed so much better. Then we have the next segment, which I was going into, and I'm going to admit, I thought it was going to be one of the worst segments of the night. Rusev and Lana addressing the Big Show situation. They start addressing it, and it's your same Rusev-Lana thing. And then some familiar music hit. And The Rock came out of nowhere. A surprise of that magnitude on Monday Night Raw. Now, if a lot of people hadn't tuned away already because of the bullshit that was happening before this, and how boring Monday Night Raw was, it'd probably be talked about a lot bigger. That's a huge moment. A surprise appearance with The Rock? How did they keep that a surprise? I didn't know he was coming out. None of the dirt sheets had him coming out. No one else I know who knew he was coming out. The Rock, I mean, one of the biggest wrestlers, one of the biggest stars in all of the world. Not just wrestling, one of the biggest movie stars there is. Came out and surprises the crowd, electrifies the crowd like only he can do. Gets into it a little bit with Rusev. Thought it was cool, thought it was interesting. I thought it was going to give Rusev a bigger rub than probably anyone deserves. Probably that he deserves, definitely. But, hey, what a great thing to bring back the Great One in a surprise segment that everybody can enjoy. And also, before I go on to the last thing, I think it's funny that a lot of the same people that complained about The Rock being world champion about 2 years ago now are the same people that got super excited that he came back. Just throwing that out there. I think that's all. I love seeing that. That just, to me, that's awesome. Awesomely hypocritical. Sorry, folks. Been fighting a little bit of a cold. That's one of the reasons why Monday Night Raw's review has been a little bit late. I've had trouble with my voice. I've been losing it. Sorry to take you off a track here. I just thought I had to explain myself why I've been coughing a couple times. The job I work during the day, I talk a lot on the phone. I'm on the phone all day, every day, talking. So, when I have a cold, I tend to lose my voice. And unfortunately, this show here is all about me using my voice. So it's hard for me to do these without that. But anyway, back on track. Just thought I had to explain a little bit there. We have the main event of the night, Kane, Seth Rollins, and Randy Orton 3-on-1 versus John Cena because Dean Ambrose left. Although we do see Ambrose coming back with a hot dog cart, start spraying condiments on the baddies. They get in the ring, they take care of business, they clean house. Ambrose hits a double arm DDT, bang bang, on John Cena. A little bit of gimmick infringement there for Ambrose. But hey, I'm sure Foley loved it. He hits a double arm DDT, we find out, or actually he hits it after we find out Triple H and Stephanie come down and say, Ambrose is going to fight Cena at Hell in a Cell, and the winner is going to go on to fight Seth Rollins because they both have a common enemy. Kind of cool concept. I probably would have preferred better a three-way match, if you really ask my opinion. But either way, I think it's going to be cool. Either Ambrose winning and going on Rollins, or Cena going on Rollins. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ambrose wins since he's the face of on the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. But they put people on pay-per-views, posters that they had no intention of even using. I believe there was a Hell in a Cell where they put R-Truth on the poster, and he wasn't even on the show. I could be wrong, but I seem to remember that. He was either not on the show at all or very low on the card. But anyway, with that being said, we're going to jump right into our ratings. We have a 1 to 5 scale here, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. 1's a Great Khali, 2's a Heath Slater, 3's a Stardust, 4's a Cesaro, 5's a Daniel Bryan. I'm gonna go with 3, a Stardust, very middle of the road for me. And if you take out the Rock surprise appearance, which popped me huge, and the Dean Ambrose ascension to the top, and him absolutely taking the ball and running with it, probably would have dropped it down to a 1 to a Great Khali. There was a lot of very boring stuff, and a lot of times I had to hold my head up from falling asleep. And I really had the controller ready to switch to Monday Night Football just because of how bad it was. But overall, middle of the road. Like I said, improved by the Ambrose stuff, and improved by The Rock giving us a big surprise. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.